Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wine. Welcome back to art class. Today we will continue working with the French artist Henri Matisse and looking at his paper cutouts. But today, instead of just shapes, our focus is going to be on how Matisse created abstract figures in his artwork. A figure is just a fancy word that means a person. And when I look at his artworks, I see people whose bodies are moving in different ways, but I notice they're abstract because I don't see details like the face or the hands or the feet. It looks like a person might be crouching over, and maybe this person has some long hair behind them, but I don't see much detail. While this purple person looks like it's a figure standing straight and tall with its arms raised above its head. All of these figures do not have details. It's just an abstract, organic shape that reminds us of a figure. So today, that's what we will be practicing. We will be practicing creating our own figures in the style of Matisse. So let's get started. The first thing that you will need is you will need to choose a large background paper. I have 3 different colors of green. It doesn't matter which you choose, whether you choose a light color, a medium color, or a dark color, but choose a color that you like. Once you have chosen your color, the next thing you need to think about is how can you choose a color for your figure that's going to create a lot of contrast. So if I have chosen a light color, I probably don't want to choose white to go with that light color. Black is going to give it a lot more contrast. Likewise, if I have a dark color, I probably don't want to choose black. The white is going to give me more contrast. If I've chosen a medium value of a color, then it probably doesn't matter which one I choose, white or black. Either one will work. And I think since I already have an example of white figures on a dark background, I'm going to try doing some black figures on a medium background. Now today you're going to have the chance to practice with 2 different figures. So one thing you can do is you can simply draw the shapes of the figure. And even if I draw on black paper, I can still see what I'm drawing. So remember, I want to think about something that a figure could be doing. Maybe my figure's jumping up in the air. So I'm going to start with its head. And you can still see the pencil on the black paper. Maybe the person has their arms above their head. They're jumping up. They're so excited, maybe. Yippee! So I'm going to draw the arms. And then I'm going to think about what a person's legs would look like. If they're jumping, their legs might be curled up behind them. So here's going to be one leg. And maybe here is a different leg. It'll bend the same direction. So as long as I have a big shape that mostly fills my paper, I'm ready to go. Then the next step is I just want to take my scissors and cut that out. Now, unlike our practice collages where we were saving the background paper, for this we're not going to be saving our negative space paper. So if my outside edges start to get too confusing, and if I start to fight too much with that paper as I'm working to cut on the lines, then it's okay today if I take that paper, and if all this extra paper is starting to get in my way, it's okay if I just cut that off. I don't need to save my scraps today. And so I could continue just working to trim right along those edges as I'm cutting out my figure. It doesn't matter if I get a tiny bit off the lines, but I really want to try to keep this as easy as I can. So again, it might be easier if I just cut off that extra piece, and I'm going to put that in my table trash. And now I can get back in here and I can really trim up where I cut. Sometimes I find it easier to turn the paper as I'm cutting. And again, just like we found when we practiced, it might be a little tricky to cut out this complicated shape. But as long as it looks like an abstract person when I'm finished, it will be fine. Now, one nice thing to remember is if I can still see my pencil lines and I want to trick people into thinking that I just cut my figure out like Matisse by drawing directly into scissors or drawing directly into the paper with my scissors, I could put the glue on this side when I'm ready to glue it down, and you won't even be able to see my pencil lines. Now, the other way you can practice cutting out a person, and this is really tricky, is just by doing that, drawing with scissors. So let's say I want my other person to look like they're leaping, so they're jumping up with their legs all spread apart. Again, now I have to really think about what I'm doing. So I cut into my paper and I say, okay, I'm going to start with a head shape. And then maybe their arms are going to be flying out at their sides as they leap across. So I'm going to cut out one arm. I'm thinking about what I'm doing. Now I'm going to come down to the body. And now maybe I've got one leg kind of pointed down like it's kicking out. And I can come up. And maybe that other leg is kicking up behind them. Maybe I'll bend that knee a little bit. And then I come back around with the leg that's a little bit bent. Here's my person's body. And I'm going to have that other arm up in the air. Come back down and finish with the person's head. So you can try it both ways. Just know that it's a little trickier if you're just drawing with the scissors. And then once I have both of my figures, I'm ready to create my arrangement. Remember, I want to fill up my page, so I don't want both my figures squished to one side. I don't want both my figures stuck to the bottom. Think about how I could place the figures so that they're going to mostly fill my page. And then I'm ready to glue. Remember, when you glue, you do not put the glue on the colored paper. It's either going to go on the black or the white paper. So I'm going to take my figure, flip it over, apply the glue, and glue it on. When I'm finished, check for those loose edges. I can't wait to see your practice collages with your Matisse-inspired people. Have a wonderful week, and until next time, keep on creating.